everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Nostalgia Bit. Today we are talking about our top 5 favourite, and the rest, movies of all time. And it felt very fitting to be joined today by acclaimed director of Ace Creeper YouTube skits, that is, Cooper Britton.
That is true. I thought you were going to go Harry's Memory Box. That's what I thought you were going down. I thought you were going to go acclaimed actor.
Actually, I think that's more TV. Maybe when we do a TV special one.
That is true. That is true. Yeah. Are we saying that yours are movies? Is that what they're?
Yes.
Yeah. They were movie level.
Yeah, they were massive.
Yeah, it
huge
works.
productions.
They're like short films. They were basically short films.
They were short films. Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
That's what I'm a fan of. That's very
We're going to be discussing our top 5 favourite movies of all time currently, plus some extra honourable mentions. More honourable mentions than for me, in the list. That's also my case as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't put me up. I mean, I might have 8 honourable mentions for top 5 video, but you have, what, like 6?
6? I've got 6.
So we're basically talking about our favourite movies of all time. If you're listening, have a think about your favourite movies. Do any of yours match up to ours? Anything like that? Let us know over on Twitter, all that sort of thing. We might put a little poll or quiz thing on this podcast, wherever you're listening, so you can feel free to answer that as well. But, we're going to be talking about our favourite movies. And I think how we did it with the video game one was before we get into the nitty-gritty of our top 5, which is quite a big claim, we talked about our honourable mentions, and I've got quite a few honourable mentions, as have you. Do you want to take it in turns, do like a quick one each, back and forward, a little bit of a ping-pong, or do you want to go rattle through your list and I'll rattle through mine? Or
do you want to ping-pong it until I've done all mine, and then you can go for your last ones? I think it'd be quite a cool way to do it.
Well, how about I start with the ping-pong, since I've got more?
Yeah, that's cool. You start ping, you be ping, I'll be pong.
Fuck me. I'll serve. So my first one on my little list here is Interstellar.
Okay, well, I'll pong Interstellar as well.
Oh, is that on your honourable mentions?
Yeah, that's on my honourable mentions.
Interstellar's a great film. We're not going to whitter on about these ones for too long, but Interstellar's a great film. We all know it's a great film. I just adore it. It's it's like an experience more than it is a film, and I will talk about this quite a lot in the least sort of pretentious way I can possibly manage. I think that, for me, what I really look for in a film is something that sort of takes me away from it, gives me a sort of visceral, emotional reaction, and Interstellar always does that, whether it's the music, whether it's the performance, whether it's the directing, the story, anything like that. I think it's a phenomenal film, and I know it's one you really enjoy as well. I'm actually surprised it's not on your top 5, to be honest.
I do have one similar on it, which kind of just takes its place because I've not seen Interstellar enough. I've only seen Interstellar twice. Once was like last year, and then I went to see it in cinema this year. And I think I love it, but there's a movie on here that kind of just edges it out for me. Which you'll see because it's number 5.
Cooper's edging 3 times in a row there.
Yeah, I'm stumbling all over my words today. It's been a while since I recorded. Interstellar, though, it's like... It's just like you were saying, it's an experience. When I went to see it in cinema, it was like euphoric. Like the for me, it's the music. The music is euphoric. The cinematography, the story, like even the science down to it. I did a YouTube project for my university recently, and did it on Interstellar, about the science within Interstellar and how good it is, and did research behind it. And it just elevates the movie even more. Like knowing that it is at points very scientifically accurate, and you can literally sit in front of a whiteboard and explain it at times. There's nothing really, you kind of hit the nail on the head, not to go on too long, but it's phenomenal. Like, it's a beautiful movie.
It's a really wonderful film. And even though I would never have said it was the top of my Nolan films, it probably is.
Actually. It is not at the top of my Nolans.
Ooh. Oh. Well, maybe we'll talk about that another day. Maybe we'll keep people interested to come back. Another one of mine, I'll ping back to you. Her, starring Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix. Starring Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson. Directed by, I want to say Spike Jonze, but I might be wrong. Great film. If you've never seen it, I would absolutely highly, highly recommend. It is... and I can't believe this is how I'm describing it. This is basically the film. Is a man goes through a breakup and he basically falls in love with an AI on his phone that can talk to him, and that sounds like a sort of fun concept. I was crying for half an hour straight when I saw this film.
Really?
It had me blubbering like a fucking baby. It was a really emotional, gut-wrenching film that... I mean, you expect that a little bit with Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
He is an incredible actor.
Incredible actor.
Yeah, and this film is absolutely perfect for that. He is phenomenal in this, and I love it. It's a great film. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. And it's visually stunning. It's one of the nicest looking films out there in terms of colour profile and set design. Everything. It's beautiful.
I've not seen it, but I will pong back at you. I'm gonna say Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction. I only watched May. I only watched this in January for the first ever time, and it is one of very few movies that I could sit and say, like, watching that movie for the first time, it's potentially one of, if not the only movie that I directly afterwards went, this is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. Like,
it's a great film,
everything.
Pulp Fiction. I've only seen it once, years ago.
Yeah, from music to the story's phenomenal. It's the one thing I said it's like, it feels like Quentin Tarantino feels like he's writing pointless dialogue, but the dialogue is so good, if that makes sense. Like,
it's real.
He can take the most not mundane, but the most like dialogue that just you wouldn't expect. They can be talking. He can take dialogue where they talk about anything. They talk about,
for example,
cheeseburgers and hamburgers.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah,
that piece of dialogue, like, if anyone else was to write that, it would just feel like something that fills in the movie to make up some time. But the way, and I think it's also down to the directing and the way that they're told to do it, and the actors as well. And I noticed it's the same with Reservoir Dogs. When I watched that, it's like those pieces of dialogue are so good. Like, they just feel so passionate, and they feel a part of the movie, even though they are talking about something that's completely left field and just you would never expect, if that makes sense. But everything about Pulp Fiction, like, I came out of that movie being like, this is easily one of the greatest movies of all time. And I said this before to you, it's like, give it a few years, a few more times I've watched it, it will probably end up getting on my top 5. But I have to mention it as an honourable mention because of how it made me feel.
It's a great film. Great description. Yeah. Great film. Thank you very much for your pong. I will ping back at you. This is very cringe, but I'm going to go with it. I'm going to ping back to you the Back to the Future trilogy. Yes, the whole trilogy. I don't care about picking one film. If I had to pick a favourite out of the 3, I'd say it's Back to the Future Part 2. But I think all 3 of those films are brilliant. The third one is criminally underrated just because it's in the Wild West does not make it boring. It is a great film with great stakes, great performances, and a great storyline. The whole trilogy is excellent. And I think it's very telling how they've never ever dared to go back to it because they know they can't beat it, right? Yeah. Jurassic Park, you can do that again. Ghostbusters, you can do that again. And they can just mess it up and do whatever and make it all shit, right? But with Back to the Future, you could never do that because there is no way. And I think studios know there's no way you could ever recreate the feel and the vibe and the energy of those original Back to the Future films. It's a brilliant trilogy, and it is not... It's one of 3 trilogies on my honourable mentions. Yes, this is how deep we're going with this. I'll ping that to you. There you go.
Back to the Future 3 is my favourite of the 3. Back to the Future 1 is my dad's favourite movie of all time. So I've seen all 3 of them on like a million times. I just love Back to the Future 3. I personally love the cowboy aesthetic, and I love how it connects
there you go, then.
all the way back. There you go.
A lot of people, that's their least favourite, but I think it's... and it might probably be my least favourite as well, but I think it's still brilliant.
2 would be my least favourite, which is just...
You're wrong, then.
I prefer 3, 1, and 2. Well, you're... Anyway, I will pong back at you, Stand By Me.
Oh! I felt that. That's good.
Stand By Me, when I first watched this movie, it's like... Stand By Me is one of those movies that I think... It's not a niche movie, but I think a lot of males enjoy it more, if that makes sense, because it's about like that coming of age, and as you get older, you relate to it more. It's about that spending time with your friends, like remembering those friends and going on those adventures and those times. Obviously, it's different. We don't go out camping and looking for dead bodies nowadays.
No, outside of Scouts, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. But it's those kind of things. It's like you will have those stories. You will have your Stand By Me story that you have with your friends when you were younger. You'll have those kinds of stories. The music's phenomenal. The acting's incredible. it's I just remember watching it for the first time, and I just remember it really resonates. And even as I get older and I rewatch it, it resonates more because you have those people who you maybe don't stay in contact, who used to be such close friends, and you don't stay in contact. And there's just so much other stuff that's amazing about it. And it used to be on my top 5, but sadly it's been slowly moved out. But it's still an absolutely phenomenal movie.
It's a great film. Stephen
I'll
King as well.
Over. Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Stephen King adaptation. Love that.
Yeah.
Maybe not the last Stephen King adaptation on this podcast today. My ping. Are you ponging or am I pinging?
I'm ponging. You're ping. I'm pong.
I'm pinging. You're ponging. That's okay.
That just sounds like a really weird Geordie insult. You're ponging
You're pinging you like God. You fucking. Four Lions would be my ping.
Really? I've never seen it.
Well. That's a fucking lie.
Wait, we have seen it. Wait, we have watched it. Wait, we have seen it.
Now, we didn't finish it.
No, I've seen some of it.
We saw the first 45 minutes of it.
Yeah.
When we were very intoxicated one Christmas.
Exactly. See,
at 4 o'clock in the morning.
One time we get drunk and watch Four Lions. The other time we get drunk and make a podcast. See, it's a
what's going to happen
thing.
This Christmas, man? I have no idea.
That's true.
We're going to be launching a fucking rocket to space next year. Just look out for it. Nostalgia Bait fucking space
Nostalgia Bait Incorporate. Nostalgia Bait Radio. That's what it'll be.
Oh God, don't. We're not going back to the fucking radio tower shit. We wasted enough time with that on the Fallout episode.
Anyway.
Oh God, that's too funny. Yeah, Four Lions is a brilliant film. Chris Morris written an incredibly clever comedy film that is not only very, very funny, but has something to say about our society and culture and plays a lot on that. I'm not going to talk about the inner themes of it. I think it's moderately inappropriate for me to sort of make sweeping statements about it because it does tackle very serious topics and subject matters, but it does it in a very comedic way. It's Chris Morris at his best. In terms of comedy writing, you've got some phenomenal performances in there, some absolutely killer one-liners. And the story's brilliant. It's engaging. It's a great film. As far as independent sort of smaller budget British comedies go, I think Four Lions is probably up there. I love it. It's a great film.
I will take this back and I will pong over Gladiator.
A great film. Yeah.
Gladiator used to be my the first time I watched Gladiator, I was probably 11 years old, and I watched it at potentially and it was 1 a.m. when I watched it. I was at my caravan with my dad. It wasn't the full version because it was obviously on TV, so they cut it down. And I just remember because it was I was going through the mythology kind of phase. I used to love Greek mythology. I still do.
Every kid has a mythology phase. Yeah.
I've always loved the Romans. I've always been obsessed with Roman history, when we used to do it in primary school and stuff. Gladiator is phenomenal. Being 11 years old watching it the first time, you're just Gladiator's cool. Fight scenes, sick. As you get older, and it's been a while since I've watched this movie, it just gets better and better and better. Every single thing about this movie is phenomenal. I'm very excited that they're doing a second one, and I hope it's good. Fingers crossed. But the first one alone, the first one alone just deserves so much credit. Just the dialogue, the passion, the fight scenes are incredible. The story alone, the concept for the story alone is goated. It's such a good idea for a movie. It's such a good idea for a story.
You've made me add in another one to my honourable mentions. I hate to say.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. I'll throw it back over to you.
Right, I'm going to ping back to you. Airplane, great comedy from the 80s. Really, really funny. Really, really funny. Very of its time, but an absolute all-timer in terms of comedy films. It's an American comedy classic. It's brilliant. It's one of those films that is a joke, joke every 10 seconds at the absolute least, and it is phenomenal. It's a film you can watch it again and again and again. I've seen it numerous times, probably about 20, 30 times, and I still see something different in it every time I watch it. It's absolutely brilliant. It's a really, really great film. The kind of humour in it is stuff that echoes through generations. It gets parodied to the nth degree. It's so, so brilliant. Such a simple film, and it just delivers absolutely massively. Have that.
These my last two I don't think anyone would guess, and these are my guilty pleasure movies. These are my
okay.
I will pong back over to you, Notting Hill.
I've never seen it personally.
I don't know what it is, and I think it kind of goes back to when we talked about the Marvel movies, and I was talking about how like Peggy and Steve Rogers' relationships, I was like taken in and just fully believable. This is a similar thing. Through the entire movie, I feel so invested in their relationship.
You're an old-fashioned romantic. That's it.
Yeah, maybe I am. And I Hugh Grant's phenomenal. I absolutely love him in all movies he touches. He's great. But Notting Hill specifically, it's like I just remember watching it for like the first time, and I've seen it a few times now, and every time I just enjoy it. Like, it's one of those movies it's never a chore to watch. It always feels so real and so believable. It's such just a nice, it's like wholesome movie, like that kind of thing.
Nice.
There you go. That's my pong.
I like that. Groundhog Day is my next one.
That very good movie.
You've seen it?
Very,
okay,
very
good.
Movie. Yeah, I've seen it.
Great film. You got to watch it once a year on Groundhog Day. I don't think I've ever watched it on Groundhog Day, so even though I'm saying
I definitely didn't watch it on
but
Groundhog Day.
it's a brilliant film. Such a simple concept, such a brilliantly executed concept. I think it's Harold Ramis who directed it. Who again, brilliant. Bill Murray's great in it. Not really a massive Bill Murray fan, but I think it's a great film, and he does a phenomenal job in it. It's just iconic. It's a great concept that really just captures your attention. Either you're the kind of person who really loves Groundhog Day, or you're the kind of person who Groundhog Day makes you really just like uncomfortable and anxious, because it's just really like, it's one of those ones. A guy lives the same day over and over and over again until he learns how to be a nice guy and, be the best person he can be, and I love that. The concept of playing on the same day over and over again is just excellent. And it's been done in so many other films since, and this was the sort of the first to really properly do it. There was definitely examples before, but this was the one.
It's been years since I've seen that movie. It's a good movie. I remember enjoying it. I shall, for my final pong, launch it off the table with probably
someone's pint.
My most guilty pleasure movie.
Go on.
Pitch Perfect, specifically Pitch Perfect 2. My God, I adore this movie. There was a phase in my life where I genuinely, and I might still to this day, know every word to every song from that movie. It's that unhealthy. It's that unhealthy. The riff-offs. I can't critique it as like a serious movie. I love the a cappella concept. I think it's so cool. Mm-hmm. The music, I love like the mix-ups for the music. And it was always the music. I just got obsessed with it and learned the lyrics. There's like a riff off in the middle of it, and I know it off by heart. Still to this day,
love that.
I could do all of it.
You do it now?
Easily. I could easily do it.
I'm
not because no. No, that's the Christmas special, boy. I don't know what you're talking.
Okay, yeah. Get a drink in you, and then we'll.
But see. I can't give it serious critique like I have because all the other 5 movies are like critically acclaimed, like critically acclaimed, like won awards in places. This movie's just fun. Like it's just one of those movies. And the whole Pitch Perfect franchise is like that's just my kind of. That's what I'm saying. It's my guilty pleasure movie. It's like it's something that I just love. And Pitch Perfect 2, I would watch any day of the week.
I'm with you on that though, and I think actually it's like I'm with you and against you in a certain sense of what you said there, because I like the idea of that. Yeah, you have to film that's fun. But I also still think that could have been in your top 5. I don't think top 5 has to be reserved for like brilliant. Because for me,
I'm not saying.
My top 5 is a mix of films that are critically acclaimed and.
Wait until we get my top 5. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not saying that the critically acclaimed movies are the best movies. I'm saying that this movie for me is like I don't want to critique the same way I would like Gladiator or Interstellar.
You let it slide because it's it's a guilty pleasure. It's a fun film. Yeah. I have plenty.
And the music's great. So there you go.
Cool. I'll just rattle off my last 3. The Cornetto trilogy, directed by Edgar Wright, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and World's End. All great films, brilliant British comedies. Performed, directed, written to an absolute T. Hilariously funny, brilliant in concept, and The World's End is horrifically underrated as a film. But Hot Fuzz, of course, the absolute classic, one of the more quotable British movies in history. You have seen these, haven't you?
I think I watched World's End with you years ago. Like years and years and years ago.
Have you seen Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz?
Yeah, I've seen Shaun of the Dead. I don't know if I've seen Hot Fuzz.
You haven't seen Hot Fuzz?
I'm absolutely certain we watched World's End together.
I'm telling you now. Hot Fuzz is a fucking commentary track waiting to happen.
I'm certain we watched it. We watched World's End together. I'm absolutely positive because I wouldn't have watched it on my own. I'm absolutely certain we watched it together.
Oh, we might have done years ago.
Yeah, but years ago.
Great films, really, really great. Would love to see them collaborate again, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, and Edgar Wright. But we'll see. The original Star Wars trilogy is my next on the list. I did want to have a Star Wars mention on here. but I haven't got them in my top 5, and I couldn't pick an individual film, so I thought, well, go for the original Star Wars trilogy, the trilogy that started it all. It's an iconic beginning, middle, and end. They're not all perfect films. If you want to see my exact order of what I think about these Star Wars films, you can go and see our episode 2 of this podcast, where we talk about our favourite Star Wars films and rattle off a little ranking of them at the end. But yeah, love those films. They're great. Oh, horrible voice break. Lovely job. And finally,
It
the
won't
one
be
that
the last time we mention Star Wars, I'll say that.
it definitely
It
won't
won't be.
And the last honourable mention I want to throw in there after Cooper mentioned Gladiator, which is of course directed by Ridley Scott. I would be ashamed of myself if I didn't ever mention Alien in a best films list. It is incredible. A brilliant horror sci-fi that is just one of the best of all time. One of the goats of sci-fi horror filmmaking. It is brilliant. I don't know if it'll ever be topped. It's got numerous spin-offs and adaptations and all that sort of thing. I don't think anything can beat that original. Some people say Aliens is better, my dad included, but I think Alien, the original, is just phenomenal. And I can't wait to see the new one that comes out this year. Maybe we'll talk about it. Maybe I can convince Cooper to watch a horror film. Maybe not.
You probably could. I'd watch it for this podcast. That's how dedicated I am. I'd push myself out of this comfort zone for nostalgia base.
Okay. Well, I'll hold this recording to you. Anyway, they are our honourable mentions, so we're going to be getting into our top 5 films of all time now. Are you excited, Cooper?
I am. Who do you want to go first?
You know what? I'm hosting. I'll let you go first.
Okay, I think it's a smart idea I go first because we've already talked about this movie and I'm not going to go on about it again.
Oh, have we?
My number 5 is Oppenheimer. This is dead serious. This is not a bit. This is dead serious.
Can I just say, I find it very funny that in the previous episode of this podcast, you start talking about nuclear physics, and I sort of go, "Oh, you'll do anything to bring up Oppenheimer," and you go, "No, I swear it wasn't." And then an episode later,
I'm not doing this to bring up Oppenheimer. Well, obviously, I'm doing it to bring up Oppenheimer. No.
What is he doing then, folks? What is he doing?
No. The way that you phrased it implies I'm doing this for a bit, and all I want to do is talk about Oppenheimer. That's not the case.
You love this film.
I love this movie. What I was talking about Pulp Fiction being like, this was a phenomenal movie. And it's the same feeling I had for Oppenheimer. When I watched it for the first time, I remember sitting through because I did Oppenheimer. If you want to go and listen to my entire rant about Oppenheimer, go and listen to the Oscars episode. Yeah, because I'm not going to go on about it again because I have
plugs left, right, and centre.
Because I'm not going to go on about it 1,000,001 times because chances are we'll bring it up in the future. Chances are we've brought it up about 40 different times in the past. The Oscars episode is littered with it. Anyway, this movie gave me like a similar feeling to what Pulp Fiction did, and I knew that this movie was on the go one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. From music, from direction, from writing, from acting, all of it set the stone for a great movie. If you're new to the podcast, I'm a physics student, so it kind of hits, and it's the same with Interstellar. It hits what I think is slightly deeper for me because I understand a lot of the other stuff that they're talking about in the movie. And I'm not saying people who don't do physics degrees can't enjoy this movie because
average Rick and Morty fan.
Yeah, average Rick and Morty. Yeah, I did physics because of Rick and No. To be fair, there's a movie on here as well, which is a very staple for why I did physics.
Here we go. Cooper's entire list is just gatekeeping for physics students.
Just gatekeeping for physics.
You can't enjoy these films really unless you're a physics
It's actually
student.
Gravity, Martian, Oppenheimer. No, but this movie just hits on a different level. It's number 5 because the movies above this I've loved for God knows how many years, but it would be a disgrace for myself to not put Oppenheimer at number 5. And I did debate putting it higher, but I was like, no. I was like, this movie's great. I love it to pieces. I think it would be a staple, and it's a movie that I would watch again and again and again over the years to come. But obviously, it's a brand new movie, that kind of thing. So there you go. That's my number 5. If you want to hear my full rant and George's full rant on it,
I'm an idiot. I'm an absolute idiot because I forgot. Even though I said that in the last episode.
So that's my number 1 Nolan movie.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, I can't believe Interstellar's not your number 1, and I completely forgot that Oppenheimer's a Nolan film. Yeah. Which, of course it is. Well, that's a good shout. I think Oppenheimer's a great film, and I think, go off, King.
Don't get me wrong, I love Interstellar. I love Cornfield Chase, but can you feel the music? Can you hear the music? Is just hit on another level. For
I know.
Me. It's
I prefer Interstellar.
I'm not like saying that. Oh my god, Oppenheimer is the better movie. You have to think this was the case. I fully understand
as
anybody.
a physics student who actually understands this, you fucking moron. I think, and I'm telling you that Oppenheimer's the better film.
Yeah.
No, you're not doing that, thankfully.
No, I'm not yet. I think, but there's the thing. Like, I think so many of Nolan movies are incredible. Like Interstellar and Oppenheimer are like the top, the surface level of incredible Nolan movies. It's like, yeah, that's kind of the small rant. There
Love
you go.
that. No, that's good. That's a good start. My number 5 is something I don't think I've actually mentioned on this podcast before. I think the problem with this is we're talking about films. We're dipping into sort of dangerous territory with. Oh yeah, I've talked about this before. Oh no, I haven't. Spill your beans. So I have talked about this on a previous podcast. I've talked about most of these on a previous podcast because they're my favourite films, right? And the last thing I did was a fucking film podcast, so of course I have. So I'll try not to tread sort of vaguely familiar ground, but also that was fucking years ago. My number 5 is Whiplash.
I've not seen it.
Have you not seen it? You should. It's brilliant. It's a really, really great film. So it follows... It's a very simple story. It follows someone who is trying to make it as a musician, as a drummer, and he's trying to get into the top class, and that top class is run by J.K. Simmons, who is a very brilliant but also very abusive teacher, who sort of lives things by the old ways, doesn't really play by the rules, kind of... You know, like if someone messes up, he throws a fucking chair at their head or something. Like it's a violent film. It's a very horribly written film in a way because not in terms of bad, it's excellently written. But it's like the wording and the dialogue is very harsh and very difficult at times to sort of take in and hear. But it's a brilliant film. The way it's written and directed and performed by Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons is just incredible. Both of those actors are brilliant, and the overall story is absolutely phenomenal. You really get there's just something so unique about it. I think because it's around music and it's coming from a director who is talking from their own experience. I think it's Damien Chazelle. Who directed it and wrote it, and I think he sort of did study music and he sort of grew up in that environment and probably had experiences like this, so he's writing from that experience, and he understands it. Not only that, but you know, you have a director who understands how this was. You can have a director who can really cover all ends of this process, and you really feel the blood, sweat and tears, quite literally, that goes into the art of music at this stage when you're determined and nothing else in life matters. You push your friends and family away to be obsessed. It's a commentary not just about music, but about obsessive hobby culture. You know, if you're obsessed about a certain thing, you will do anything to make it in that field, to push yourself. If you're that kind of person. And Miles Teller's character in this is that, to the point where you're rooting for him, to the point where you think, oh, you're actually a smug prick, to the point where you end up rooting for him again. And it's all part of it. It's a phenomenal film that has so many ups and downs, and it has probably one of the most perfect endings that I've seen in a film. Full stop. I think the place in which it ends and the unpredictability of the character's emotions, I'm trying not to give away too much here, of that scene is beautiful, is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm jealous of you, Cooper, that you've never seen it, because when you do eventually watch it, which would hopefully be soon, you will be in for a very visceral, exciting, ecstatic film to watch that is beautifully and lovingly directed.
That was a very good, very, very, very good explanation and breakdown of that movie.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Without spoiling anything, it's phenomenal.
Really yeah.
And if you're not sure, Damien Chazelle is actually adapted from a short film.
Is it?
Written and directed by the same person who didn't star Miles Teller, the original, but the original short film did star J.K. Simmons initially as well. You can watch that short film. It's 10 minutes, and it is basically a scene from the full Whiplash film. It gets adapted from that. So if you want to watch the short film to see if you fancy it, you can watch that, and I guarantee you'll like that. Yeah. And then you can watch the feature film, and it's great. Yeah. It's honestly, anyone who's watched Whiplash will tell you it's a brilliant film. I don't think many people who have seen it have any overly critical notes about it. It's brilliant. Yeah. It's a really, really great film. I think it's probably Damien Chazelle's best work. Not a big La La Land fan myself, so I'm gonna go out on a record and say that. But yeah, Cooper,
nice.
what is your number 4?
My number 4, okay. As a kid, I was a Disney kid, okay. I love Disney movies. I used to watch Disney Channel, Phineas and Ferb, High School Musical. I was such a High School Musical kid.
You're a Disney kid.
My number 4 is the 1994 The Lion King. The animated, fully animated, not weird CG Lion King. This film...
Yeah, not the Jon Favreau Lion King.
No, not the weirdly IRL...
Not the Lion King directed by Chef.
Literally. This movie just... I think it's a lot of nostalgia. There you go, the podcast plug.
He said it!
He said the thing! And I'm not saying this for nostalgia bit.
God. It's too on the nose.
This movie just... Yeah. I love a lot of Disney movies. I've seen a lot of Disney movies. And I love the Disney music. I just think it's so like catchy. I think they're just so upbeat, and so there's just some incredible Disney songs out here. But for me, Lion King was my favorite growing up. It's one I saw countless times growing up, and it's only kind of solidified that over the years, like watching it as I've gotten older as well and understanding it a lot more. The songs that were written for it and the music in it is just they're just classics. They're just known. Like there's just so many in them. Like they're just staples of kind of the Disney genre and all Disney songs. I love the story for it. It has perfect comedy. It has the most depressing, heart-wrenching sections of the movie. I've not seen any of the sequels. I've seen the
you don't need to.
The
really,
weird. I've seen the weird new version, and I've seen. This is how much I love this movie. When we went to see the theatre version in London, and when they did the opening,
is it good?
Oh, it's phenomenal. When they did the opening bit where like all the animals come for like the baby being born, they had the animals like running down the aisles. I was in tears. Like that's how much it was like. That's how much like the nostalgia and like it kind of like hit me.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of love that I have for this movie. Is like that.
Wow.
It really, really got me when it and it's obviously it's the most simple thing having them run down the aisles in a theater. Like, but it really, really got me. And that kind of again like solidifies how much I love this movie, and the songs I know like 90% of them off by heart. Again, it's like
though as well. I mean,
they're just beautiful songs, and it's just beautifully written. And
but obviously, it's a Disney musical of the 90s. It was their complete renaissance. But also, you bear in mind that the songs were written composed by Elton John.
Exactly.
Is a huge selling point for it, and it's in terms of like its musical talent. The songs are phenomenal and catchy and brilliant, as you'd expect them to be. And I believe is what.
Go on. No.
After you.
I believe what you were saying is a renaissance. If I'm not mistaken, without googling it, I'm pretty sure this was like. I believe this is the first Disney movie done like a new animation style as well. And this was like the first of like this animation style for Disney.
I don't know for sure if it was.
I could be wrong, but I think I remember hearing that somewhere. But yeah, it's like it's even if it's not, it's still like ground. The animation to this day is beautiful. Like it's such a beautifully made movie. That's all I have to say about that. That's
it's excellent. Again, story wise, it's something so compelling. Again, adapted from Hamlet, as a lot of things are. There's a lot of films and all that sort of thing that are adapted from Hamlet, and most of them tend to be pretty good, even though they follow the same vague story. I'm trying to think of other examples now, and I can't. But I think like Black Panther for one is similar. There's Aquaman as well. Like a lot of superhero films try and take that as a template. It's like being cast out from your family and having to come back and win the honor, and it's incredible. It's a really it's a classic story. Told in a unique and brilliant way, but with music from Elton John, you can't go wrong. Yeah,
it's like the opening alone is like I used to not like the opening as a kid. Like as a kid, I just thought it dragged on too long. But as I've gotten older, like the opening's my favorite bit.
You appreciate
the song, the Circle of Life, and the opening with all the animals and stuff. It's beautiful.
It is wonderful. Yeah.
And like I said, it made me cry when I saw it in theatre. So yeah, there you go. It's a stable and a solid. So yeah, what is your number 4?
I've got a great segue because I feel like you've talked about your sort of Disney renaissance here with your Lion King, and I'll sort of move over to a few other Disney films of that era, which were sort of very well renowned at the time. and very well loved, and very well written, and musically very brilliant. It's not a Disney film. It's a very slow segue, this one. There's a classic, as you may have heard, The Little Mermaid, for example, as an example of one of these films, with music from Howard Ashman and Alan Menken. They were also behind Aladdin, I believe, and
Aladdin's so good.
A bunch of other Disney films of that time in terms of the music.
Yeah.
What else were they behind? You might be asking.
I am asking. I have no idea.
They're behind a little off-Broadway production from the early 80s, which was adapted into, I'm going to say my fourth favourite film. Probably is higher in terms of my love and passion and how much I can talk about this film, so I'm going to try and keep it short, he says, with a 10-minute intro to the film. And that is Little Shop of Horrors.
When you said like the adaptation stuff, I knew that's what you were going to say. I know you love this.
Fucking love Little Shop of Horrors. This is easily one of the most, like, for me, like, I love my musicals, right? This is probably, might not be my favourite musical. Right, musically, might not be my favourite, right? But there is so much going for it. I mean, first of all, I've got to say, have you seen it?
No.
That's fine. I can understand that. It's not one that people have seen. It's, for some reason, I grew up on it. I watched this on DVD loads as a kid. I was obsessed with it. So the key thing about it, if you don't know what it is an adaptation of a Broadway musical, which was an adaptation of a film that was made in the 50s, a serious horror film, kind of, that was made on next to no budget on a set that was going to be dismantled in a few days, and someone just wanted to get the money's worth out of it. They hated the film so much that they made it and didn't put any copyright law on it, so anyone could adapt it and do anything they wanted with it. It got turned into a musical not that long later, and then was just world-renowned. It's about a man who works, an orphan who works in a flower shop with his sort of adopted dad who doesn't really like him. He comes across this weird plant, and he starts to try and put it in the shop. And people love this plant, and they start coming to the shop and buying flowers, and the business is successful because of this plant. But what it turns out is this plant actually feeds on blood. And Seymour, the person who owns this plant, must slowly but surely realise that he actually has to kill people and feed them to the plant to keep it alive, to keep him successful, and it is about the moral dynamic of that. So there's a few things about this film which I love. First of all, it's directed by Yoda, which is really cool. Frank Oz is the director of this film.
Actually.
Yes.
Wow. Oh my God, it is.
Yeah, so yeah, Yoda directed this film, first of all, which is a great thing. Second of all, this film, because it's directed by fucking Yoda and the team behind some of the greatest practical puppetry effects in cinema, in terms of Star Wars, in terms of the Muppets, in terms of all that. This film has very little CGI in it, and actually has the big giant plant is a fully animatronic plant. And I can spit off 101 facts about it, and please indulge me as I rant about this, because it's probably the only time I'm ever going to talk about it on this podcast. The big animatronic plant, it grows over time, so they had to make multiple animatronics for it. By the midpoint of the film, the plant is so big that they had to record the songs on camera at 50% speed, which means which means the human actor, so Rick Moranis, the comedic actor, he had to sing at half speed, and they would speed it up in post because the plant had to sort of move and is dynamic in that sort of way. By the end of the film, it was even less than that, and they had 50 live puppeteers controlling the plant at all times, because the plant has moving mouth and lips and arms and vines and other things. This animatronic is one of the most phenomenal visual effects in cinema history for me, and it is partially what has I don't know, it's made me fascinated with the art of filmmaking. Yeah. And then the story is a classic. The songs are a classic. Suddenly Seymour, Mean Cream Mother, there's a lot of classics in there that people sort of know of. But it's the visual effects of the film for me that really completely sell it. You would never get a film like that nowadays. If they remade this, which they were planning to at one point in time, it would have just all been CGI. It would have been shit. The art of this film it's being directed by people who really love their craft in the industry as puppeteers and animators and art directors, right? They have made this thing come to life, this plant, this inanimate object come to life with the absolute power of some of the most talented puppeteers you'll ever see in the industry. And then the final thing I want to point out about this film is that the original ending for the film was hidden for about 40 years.
Oh my God.
So the version that I grew up on was the theatrical cut, which was released in cinema. And I kind of want to get the facts up here, but Basically they filmed the original. They filmed the original ending, which was a lot longer, had an extra musical number. It was accurate to the stage show. Basically, the plants win and they take over the world. And there's a phenomenal, it's over 10 minutes long, of this practical animated sequence with plants taking over the world, destroying bridges, blowing up cars, helicopters, eating people, taking over the Statue of Liberty, taking over the world. All of this original song, and this cost millions of dollars.
And it got cut.
And test audiences did not like it. So they cut the whole thing and replaced it with a happy ending that wasn't accurate to the musical. Now, this happy ending is the one that I grew up with on DVD, and eventually, years later, they released a director's cut in about 2012 with the original ending, and it is beautifully depressing in the absolute worst way, but also best way. And you get to see all of that in its sort of beautiful animated goodness. It is just incredible. I'd love to get the exact numbers of how much money was wasted on that, but it's an entire 10 plus minutes of fully animated sequencing. I don't think it actually won any Academy Awards, but it was nominated for Best Visual Effects and Best Original Song, and it lost both of them, which is crazy. I think it lost out to better candidates, admittedly. I think it maybe lost out to something ridiculously well known. It lost out to Aliens, so fair enough, Yeah. But Little Shop of Horrors, I think, is just it's one of my favorite films. I could talk about it forever. I will try not to, but not only is it fucking hilarious, not only is it very musically strong, not only is it directed by Yoda, but
that alone
everything is just brilliant. It's not the best film of all time, far from it, but what it is such a personal favourite of mine. I grew up watching this film. I absolutely adore this film. I love the passion and the artistry that goes into it. It absolutely is a film that encapsulates the love and art of filmmaking. And it's just wonderful. It is really, really wonderful. And I am going to force you, Cooper, after this recording, to watch some of those behind-the-scenes things, because that's fucking cool.
Yeah. Before I do my number 3, I said to you before we start recording this that there was definitely one that I've forgotten, and you mentioning this has reminded me. Another honourable mention, I have to put Les Mis on here, and it would be a crime that I've forgotten it. I
don't agree.
Oh, the Les Mis movie I absolutely adore. I adore it to the nth degree. It's beautiful and
it's okay.
The cast is phenomenal.
It's good.
Don't get me wrong. There's a middle section of it where I
could send you a lovely fucking 48-minute YouTube video essay which dismantles the whole fucking thing, but I will not, because I'll let you have this, because it ruined it for me.
I'm not going to watch it.
No,
but
you
to be 100% honest, the music alone would do it for me for Les Mis.
Yeah, the music is phenomenal. Yeah,
the music's phenomenal. So that's just my little. Anyway, my number 3 is my second physics movie, kind of.
Oh, here we go.
Recently, I have gone through turmoil with this movie. There was something recently that came out, and it kind of threw this movie into question for me.
Oh yeah, I felt that like that when I watched Five Nights at Freddy's as well. I know what you're talking about.
And it's the five. But taking away, it's like a biographical. It's about someone. Taking away of who it's for. Alone, I would give it alone for the. It's the theory of everything. It's the movie about Stephen Hawking with Eddie Redmayne. This movie, when I watched this movie for the first time, honestly, Stephen Hawking being one of my he was very much an inspiration for me growing up. And I'm not going to go into it at all, but there's a lot of stuff that came out recently about Stephen Hawking.
I now realise what you're saying. Yes.
I was absolutely gutted when this stuff came out. That's all I'm going to say on it. And this movie, I was kind of like, I don't know if it's... I don't know if it would still be up there. However,
I think you have to put it there for the physics part of it, right?
But this is what I'm saying. Yeah. Taking all of that away, even if it was taking all the story away, for the acting, for the cinematography, for the science, for the writing, Eddie Redmayne alone in this movie is absolutely out of this world. I love Eddie Redmayne as an actor. This movie is just on another level. His acting in it is just phenomenal. The girl as well who plays his wife, I'm sorry, I can't remember her name.
God,
it's
I can't
just
remember
like
either. Crazy.
I've literally got it pulled up here. Felicity Jones, who plays
Oh yeah, she's great.
plays Jane Wilde. Yeah, just absolutely like it resonates on another level. And I just remember watching it for the first time and being like, and I've watched it so many times over the years. It's one of the very few movies I own, I paid for, and still own to this day. But it's just, yeah, like if you haven't seen it, even after everything that's gone on, as a movie, it's absolutely phenomenal. Like I believe Eddie Redmayne won an award for it, and it's just like
I've seen it. It's a great film. I've seen it
phenomenal.
once years ago, and I really loved it. I thought it was a very emotionally impactful film, and it does raise an interesting question, doesn't it? When in light of recent news, whether that's sort of something that goes down in your estimations, but I don't think it should, because I think the film is separated to the actual historical figure that it represents. At the time, it was a very, and it still is. You know, you can't change the wonder of that filmmaking because of what the man in real life may or may not have been up to. We don't know.
That's exactly kind of what I went through. It was like when the news came out, I was absolutely gutted and genuinely like heartbroken. Like they really hit me that day. And then I've rewatched the movie probably about a week or two after it, because I was like, I need like I don't want the movie to suffer because of that. And it really didn't. Still, like, it's a phenomenal. The romance in it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
The whole like, and it really. It's great, and I know it has been criticised over the years that it's not fully accurate and it kind of is very one-sided, but I still think it shows a very good both sides of the story pretty well. It doesn't show Stephen Hawking as the good guy the whole way through. It kind of shows his downfall, but also the physics in it again is incredible. That's kind of all. Yeah, it's just beautiful. If you haven't seen it, I'd honestly consider watching it.
It's a great film. It's worth watching. Did it win an awards? I think it.
Eddie Redmayne won the Academy Award for Best Leading Actor for it.
Oh,
so,
yeah. Rightfully so.
And rightfully so.
Yeah.
He fully deserves it. It won a lot of different awards, but specifically he won an Oscar for it. So, that's my number 3. And again, it's been there for many years. So,
love that.
Yeah. There you go.
My number 3 is completely left field in terms of what you've just been talking about. My number 3 is The Lighthouse. I thought
this was going to be number 1.
No. The thing is, it was for a while, and it might still be. I haven't seen the film in over a couple of years, right? So I sort of need to rewatch it, but my God, I love this film. It's so good. It's so good. It's so fucking weird as well, though. It's... for those who don't know, a black and white horror historical period film with Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe, and that's it.
The boy.
And that is it, the whole film. They're stuck on an island together. One of them owns this lighthouse, the other one is working for them. Secrets start to come out, and they get stuck on the island, and insanity starts to sort of set into them. And it's fascinating. It really is a brilliant film that I don't want to go too much into detail for, because it is quite a niche film, and I don't want to sort of just like waffle about something that a lot of people might haven't seen. But if you're into sort of horror, I'd definitely watch it. If you're into just sort of a good drama, thriller kind of film, I'd watch it anyway. It's not super long. I don't actually think it's that long at all. I think it's only like... Yeah, it's not even 2 hours long. So it's a pretty like short film, all things considered. It is very out there, but it's got some of the best performances from these two actors you'll probably ever see. There's a speech in the middle of it where Willem Dafoe sort of, who throughout the whole film talks in sort of pirate tongue anyway, which is brilliant. But there's a speech where they're sort of drunk and they're like play fighting, and they go through the emotions of it. And Robert Pattinson's character sort of insults Willem Dafoe's cooking, and Willem Dafoe's very passionate about how well he cooks his lobster, and then proceeds to have this long monologue where he basically, for lack of a better phrase, hexes Robert Pattinson's character by just sort of invoking like the gods of the sea and the gods smiting him down and all this sort of thing. But it is a beautifully like almost Shakespearean film in that sense. But it's haunting and brilliant and weird and nonsensical in places. It is wonderful. And it's about, obsession and insanity and lies and treachery, and it's so clever with just two actors on a small island, and it is an incredibly exciting film. Robert Eggers' his best film, in my opinion. I didn't think The Witch was that good. I thought The Northman was okay, but this is Northman, another example of a fucking Hamlet adaptation.
There you go.
This is The Lighthouse is his best film, and I am absolutely buzzing for his next film, which I think is going to be Nosferatu, and like an adaptation of that original vampire film. That's going to be banging. But as it stands, The Lighthouse is brilliant. If you like a little bit of something creepy, a thriller, a bit of horror maybe, just a little bit of a confusing, weird film, this is absolutely the film for you. I can't believe it was panned from the Oscars and the awards season of that year. It is an incredible, incredible film. You should absolutely check it out. What is your number two?
I thought that was going to be your number one. Because
no,
what I remember,
that was between my 1 and 2, and then I sort of went, no, be real, put it at 3. I've got another.
That means 2. I could confidently predict one of your top 2, but I have no idea what the other one is. There you go.
I can say you can predict one, and the other one we've watched together. So
really?
I will say that much.
Okay.
What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Star Wars Episode 3: Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, of course it is. I love it. I love that.
Absolutely. And honestly, every other movie I've mentioned on here is better than this movie, objectively, as a movie.
But it's not what it's about, though, is it?
I think that's what I'm going to say. Yeah. But my God, I love this movie. And honestly, this movie used to be lower down. And what's dragged this up, and we've mentioned it before, is us watching that edit of Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, yes.
Bro,
yeah.
I was in tears watching that edit of Revenge of the Sith.
For context, for those listeners who might not have seen other episodes where we talked about this, there is an existing 4-hour cut of this film, not official, but it sort of basically takes some of the Clone Wars animated series, which takes place around the same time as this, and intercuts it exactly when things take place, which means you can watch sort of basically a 4-hour mixed live action and animated film, which covers the events in chronological order as time goes on, and it is beautifully emotional and very, very well edited by that YouTuber who did it. We watched that together, and it does elevate the film massively, and I'm so glad you enjoyed that.
And for anyone who's going to be like, but no, it's not the part of the movie. Fuck off, I don't care. I don't care. Honestly, I don't care.
Like, I was just thinking it was a really nice thing. I was not expecting you to immediately tell the audience to fuck off.
It's just like, I think of Star Wars, I think of this. This is what I gravitate towards. It's like this passion, this energy, this, like the dedication that went into making the lightsaber fights look perfect. Like when I picture lightsaber battles, these are the battles I picture. I picture this era, this kind of elegance, this lightsaber techniques, these forms, like the passion from the actors. It sets up, and it wasn't the greatest movie when it first came out, and it's not the best it's objectively not the best Star Wars movie that's been made, but it's like that era for Star Wars is my favorite, and it's again one of those movies that I can watch time and time and time again. And as much as I love the memes in it, I think the memes again take it to another level. Like the fact that you can laugh at moments that aren't supposed to be funny,
that's
but
so
they've
good.
been memed to absolute death. That
That's
they
so
are
good.
funny, but again, the funny moments don't take away. Like
no, they don't.
The ending bit, like the Eye of the High Ground, like it's such a meme, but it doesn't take away from that passion and that brother versus brother like fight at the end of the movie. The whole movie start to finish is beautiful. The casting for the prequels alone is phenomenal. Like everybody is perfectly cast, and it's just elevated to another level, and it sets up for a beautiful universe. And we've done plenty of Star Wars episodes prior to this. It's just like it kind of, when I watch this movie, it kind of, and I'm not saying that nothing else does this, but this kind of reinvigorates and shows why I love Star Wars. This is my passion for Star Wars in a movie. Like this is just the bread and butter. Like I remember watching this for the first time. I feel like I've said this for every other movie, but it's like that kind of thing. It's like it's my Star Wars movie, and it really, like, I think it's probably obvious, like, this movie is what shows my passion for Star Wars and this era of Star Wars, and I just love everything else that's gone on, like, around this, and it's just beautiful and perfect. So yeah,
there's a lot going for it, and there's a lot there, and I think in short, I think with this film it's one of those ones where, objectively, it's not that good, you know. The acting is not that great. Whatever, you could criticize and pick holes in this film, and we're not denying that. But what it is a phenomenal comfort film that I think it's surprising that for a film that is so objectively poor, that it is one that you can just sit down and watch whenever and get the maximum amount of enjoyment out of it. It's one of those films that I could watch and then as soon as it's finished, watch it again and still have the same level of enjoyment.
but even like 19 years later, like these actors coming back 19 years later, it still like hits like that. And not that I watched it 19 years ago, but like seeing those characters reused now, like in that kind of style. And I'm not going on this because we're not having an argument about Ahsoka right here, right now. But for me, and I rewatched those scenes with Hayden Christensen literally yesterday, and for me, I love them to death, and I just love that kind of thing.
Don't get me wrong; those
amazing.
scenes are really good.
And that's where you're going to end. And you what's your number two?
My number two. Oh, it's sort of like a story arc. It's building over time. People are loving in this. My number two is a film we've watched together.
Okay.
Any ideas? It's not Five Nights at fucking Freddy's.
It's not Five Nights at Freddy's.
No.
It's not the Alan Partridge movie, is it?
We haven't watched that together, have we?
We have watched that together.
Have we?
My other guess is it... Oh,
I've not put in Alan Partridge Alpha Papa as my second favourite film of all time, definitively.
It's not the Thick of It movie, is it?
No, it's not.
I have no idea what it is then.
I think we watched it together. See, now I'm like, oh, did we? I think we did. Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, yeah, we did watch it together.
Okay.
Yeah,
we watched that we watched that last year after Five Nights at Freddy's, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's not much I can. There's not much more I can say about this that hasn't already been said. Just generally, this film is absolutely balls to the wall, crazy, and I love it for that. And this film would not be anywhere near this high if it was just what it sort of seems on the tin. I think the thing that's so brilliant about this film is not only is it a high concept film, which just absolutely, it plays by the rules, but it plays by its own complete batshit rules. It's so sort of multi-genre. You've got some phenomenal performances, really great directing, some great twists and turns in the story, stuff that doesn't really quite make sense. But at the heart of it, when it clicks what this film is about, and it reveals its emotional core of the breaking down of a relationship between a mother and daughter, that is beautiful. And I have never seen something in a film, for me, which has taken some high sci-fi, all over the place, wacky, ridiculous concepts and turned it into something that is genuinely really grounded and real. There's plenty of films that are good and do it well. For me, there's not a film that has hit me to the core emotionally as much as this has. And I am nor a mother nor a daughter, and it hits me to the core. I think it's brilliant, and I love that this emotional core is so strong for this film. Some people don't get it, and I completely get that. But I love the fact that this film can make me cry, and it is also a film that has a fight scene with someone trying to get a sort of butt plug up their arse and fighting with giant dildos. It's very silly. It's very stupid and like overtly inappropriate in places. But it's fucking brilliant. It's really, really great. Just the little details. You got like... Randy Newman, is it? Who used to do the music for the old Pixar films like Toy Story and stuff, and he voices a raccoon. He does like there's a little song. It's like Ratatouille, but with a raccoon. Little references like that, tongue in cheek in terms of like filmmaking, in terms of visual style. There's a scene where two characters on screen are just two rocks, and you just see subtitles. There's no actual acting, a good scene. But it's brilliant. Completely
such
silent.
a good scene.
When I saw this in cinema, it was one of the most amazing experiences that I've had in the cinema. It was
the scene as well, like the
dialogue.
The dialogue for that scene as well is beautiful. As much as just it's stunning.
But I don't have much more to say about it. I think it's a brilliant, brilliant film. I think it definitely deserves a watch if you've never seen it. I forced you to watch it, and I'm glad you enjoyed it as much.
Honestly, do you know what? You didn't force me to watch it because I wanted to watch it, and I'm glad you got the opportunity to watch it. Yeah. I do have to say as well, like, apologies if I butcher his name, Kei Kwan's story for this movie, like him coming almost from the bottom, and his like Oscar moment of winning an Oscar is
he deserved it.
Honestly, that line where that you watch that 2-second clip of saying "Mum, I won an Oscar" when he's accepting the award is beautiful, all the interviews afterwards of him being like, I was literally like, I just couldn't get a job, and then this job came along, and I was told it's going to work, it's going to happen, then stuff happened, and everything like that, and then it comes out, and it's an absolute like storm. It's a phenomenal movie. Yeah.
It's incredible. The one thing I will disagree with, and I love the fact that it swooped the Academy Awards. I wasn't expecting it to. I'm really glad it did. The one thing I do disagree with in terms of what it won, I don't think Jamie Lee Curtis deserved it for her role, especially when she was up against I'm going to butcher the name, but Stephanie Hsu, who was the daughter character of the film, the emotional crux of the film, also nominated for Best Supporting Actress, and Jamie Lee Curtis won it over her, which I think is fucking abysmal, honestly. I think that's just such a shame. To a better performance and also just more important part of the film. You know, fair enough if it was a different film that won it, but it didn't. It was the same film, and they thought that performance was the better of the two. Are you kidding me? Really? That baffled me. But everything else, yeah, completely deserved, and I absolutely adore it. It's a great, 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 great film. High concept. It's like it's like the equivalent of the modern day Matrix. Like it's a film that is groundbreaking and fascinating that you have to see it.
It also kind of gives you the same vibe as Matrix, if that makes sense. Like, I know that's such a batshit crazy thing to say, but it's like a cross-dimensional kind of like trip, basically, essentially.
Pretty much, yeah. It's a brilliant film, and
it's really good.
I wanted to put it on here. I don't know. You know, the thing is, when you're sort of reading these out, you sort of think, well, pretty much any of these 5 that I'm saying in this top 5. Yes, this is the order I've picked today. Ask me tomorrow, it'll be a different order, but it'll probably still be the same 5 films. So this one is like number 2 now, but it could be another position tomorrow. I don't know. It's very me, this film. If I could make something that was this good, I'd be happy. I'd be very, very happy. But I have to ask, what is your number 1?
Okay, so I think you know what my number 1 is.
I think I know what your number 1 is.
It's exactly what it was whenever we talked about this previously. It has been for genuinely probably over 10 years now, if not coming up 10 years. Forrest Gump is just...
I knew it was. Like, I bloody knew it. I knew it.
Honestly, I don't even know where to start with this movie. The music, to start. The music is absolutely phenomenal. It's so memorable. It's so beautiful. The story is absolutely stunning. The coming of age, the growing up, seeing him progress through all, like, from such a young child and his first love, and that carrying on all the way through is amazing. Like, all those little moments of everyone he meets through his life. When he goes to war with Bubba and stuff happens with Bubba, and him getting the shrimp boat, and with Lieutenant Dan, like, all that stuff is just so good. Like, the story with Jenny as well, like, Jenny kind of going through, like, this like, full rebellious phase, like, and, like, when I did history in school, it was quite cool because when we did, like, American history, we learned about a lot of these moments that are actually in Forrest Gump, and I just never knew until I watched the movie again. I was like, oh my god, like, when he goes into the school, when, like, the black students are allowed in the school for the first time, and the girl, like, drops her notebook, and he comes storming out of the crowd and hands it in, and then waves at the camera and then walks in. Like, it's all those, like, little moments. It's like they take, like, major points in history and do, like, it's amazing CG adding him into it, and even writing around it, so he's there.
Meeting,
it's
like
just
meeting JFK, and, like,
meeting
Elvis.
JFK, like, oh, I heard you got shot in the buttocks, like, that kind of thing. Like, him drinking like, the reason I love Dr. Pepper is I tried Dr. Pepper because of this movie. Like, it's just, like, it was, that's how young I was. Like, that was that, like, it was that influential to me when I was that young. It just, the whole movie, like, even the ending with Jenny, like, them going to the house that she grew up in and throwing the glass bottles, and her finally coming home, and them having a kid together, and then she disappears, and then he goes and runs across America, obviously, just casually, like, and it's just the whole thing. Like, I'd love the little things as well, like him, like, Bubba Gump Shrimp becoming, like, the biggest, like, him becoming a multi-millionaire because he's the only shrimp boat that survives, and then he invests in Apple, thinking it's an apple picking company, like, that kind of thing. Like, it's such a funny but such a heartfelt and warm movie, but at the same time it's such a tragedy. Like, there's just so many tragic moments in it, and it's, even though he's supposed to play, like, this dumb kind of kid and dumb adult that isn't really supposed to know, there are moments, there are turning moments in that movie where he really is, like, it really, like, as much as he's supposed to not be very emotionally intelligent, like, there's specific and well-chosen points in that movie where he is so emotionally intelligent, and it's just, it adds that extra level, and it's even more impactful. And even coming from full circle, like, when he puts the flower in the book in his first day of school, and then he takes his son to the first day of school. I just love this movie, man. It's so good. Oh,
it is.
I need to rewatch this movie. It's so good.
I only watched it once. I watched it once, and I watched it quite, not like, late, but I didn't watch it as a kid. I watched it when I was sort of, I think, like as teenager, sort of late teens.
Yeah. It must have been because I've probably told you to watch it. That's
I think you
what it
probably
was.
did. You probably did,
Yeah.
and I probably checked it out at one point.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I think it's a really, really great film. It's a long film, I think, but it's a one that
Yeah.
it sticks with you, and it's like
Yeah.
an adventure. And I think when films are that long, when films are about, I don't know how long it is, but I remember it being like 2.5 hours, maybe.
Honestly, I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah, it's
Like,
it's 2 hours 20, and it's one of those ones with a film that's that long, you need it. You really, really, really need it to be like a whole story. And then that sounds fucking daft, I know, but with a film like that, when it's that long, you want it to feel like there is such a difference between where you start and where you end, that you feel like you've been through this person's life and you've experienced that with them. And I think that's the power of films that are that long. It's not all about having films that are shorter. You can have brilliant films that are an hour and a half. You can have brilliant films that are 2.5 hours, 3 hours, right? Some films who do 2.5 hours, 3 hours, they don't do it right. This is a film that really, they lean into that, because you see not just... You see his whole life, basically, and you live that with him, and you see the tragedies and the things, and you almost believe it is like a real person and a real story. I think that's what's brilliant about Forrest Gump, is not only is it brilliantly performed,
it's
and
Tom Hanks is
directed.
phenomenal.
Who is Robert Zemeckis?
Robert Zemeckis, yeah,
incredible director.
But even the movie's called Forrest Gump, and obviously it's about Forrest Gump. You also you get so many other people in his life. You understand and get their full stories. Like Jenny's, even though she's not with Forrest for most of her life, you get her entire story and you understand her entire story. Lieutenant Dan, meeting him during the Vietnam War, leading all the way up to Forrest Gump's wedding, like you get his entire story and it's beautiful. All the stuff with Bubba, like kind of Forrest not really understanding racism, if that makes sense. Like that being the thing is he doesn't see race, like, and you like him, even though Bubba passes away, because they came up with the idea together, he's so faithful that he gives Bubba's mum like his cut essentially of what it would have been of the industry, and like completely changes her life. It's just those little things, like those innocent little things that when you watch it the first time you might miss, and obviously I was so young that you do miss, and as the years have gone on you understand more and more and more, and it just becomes more beautiful. And the symphony for it, the main Forrest Gump theme, whatever you want to kind of call it, I don't know what the actual title of it is. It's absolutely beautiful. That's kind of used with the whole movie. But yeah, there you go.
Wonderful.
Stunning. What is your number one? I think I might know your number one.
You know, I'll let you guess it.
Is it The Shining?
It is The Shining. Of course it is. So The Shining is a fascinating one. And it's even more fascinating now than it was when I last talked about it many years ago. And that's because I now have a slightly different perspective on The Shining. Slightly different perspective on The Shining, yes. It's a slightly less good perspective on The Shining.
Good. Ooh.
Yeah, I've caught your interest now, haven't I? Yeah, I'm not just talking about the same shit that I've done before. The Shining is a film directed by Stanley Kubrick, starring Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall, and is phenomenal. It's adapted from the Stephen King novel of the same name. It is about a family who agree to be sort of the sort of winter caretakers for this beautiful, ginormous hotel in the middle of California, somewhere in the mountains, somewhere that gets snowed off and with no connection to the outside world. And it explores this idea of cabin fever, but it also explores this idea of ghosts and ghouls, and I think there's a lot going on there. I adore this film. I think it is one of the best made films of all time, and I love the fact that it was underrated and misunderstood when it came out. It was nominated for a couple of Razzies, I believe, for worst performances.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh my god.
But it's since become such an iconic horror staple. I don't think The Shining is the scariest film on earth. I don't think it's anywhere near scary, because it doesn't rely on what you'd call scary now in terms of jump scares. Things that are intentionally trying to trip you up. The Shining earns its horror. It earns its horror through suspense, writing, and performance, as well as directing. Notably, and I would be ashamed to mention The Shining without pointing out that it was a horrendous example of really, really bad filmmaking practices on set. It is very well documented that especially, the main cast, but especially Shelley Duvall, was very much mentally abused on the set of The Shining, and that is not right, and it should not be common form. It is known that after this film, she basically stopped acting altogether, and her life basically completely fell apart. Because it was quite a traumatizing film to work on. Stanley Kubrick was not the nicest of people. A phenomenal director in terms of filmmaking, yes, but a horrible person as far as some reports are there to believe. There's obviously the certain take where at the height of the film where Jack Torrance smashes an axe through the bathroom door and Shelley Duvall is screaming, crying, panicking, and they did that take, I believe, over 120 times on that one shoot day.
Oh my God.
Which means, yes, that was over 120 doors smashed through that whole thing. There's so many stories like that. They pushed the actors to the brink, and that was the point. I think Stanley Kubrick wanted to physically exhaust Shelley Duvall, so her performance was exhausted and petrified, and as it would be of her actual mental position in real life. And Jack Torrance Jack Nicholson even, to be angry and mad and not fucking happy at all. Hence his performance being more enraged and full of anger. So there's sort of getting the best possible performance, but in the worst possible way in terms of a lot of abuse. But the film is wonderful. The film is absolutely brilliant. It is a phenomenal piece of filmmaking. However, it is quite a poor adaptation of the book, which I have now read.
Really?
Since
I didn't know.
last talking about this film, not that long ago, actually, this year, I read The Shining. And it's phenomenal. It's a really, really, really good book. And those who know the book and those who know the film, or just sort of have any sort of knowledge regarding the sort of lore behind this, is that Stephen King hates the film. Stephen King despises the film because it changes a lot of the key plot points and a lot of the ideas behind what made the book scary. And I agree. After reading the book, I thought the book would not be anything compared to the film. I thought the film was great and is amazing. And the film is absolutely phenomenal as its own thing. But someone who also read the book and was like, oh, wow, I actually like what the book is doing a lot more here. Yeah. The basic difference is in the film, the ghost side of things, the ghosts could be ghosts, or they could be figments of the characters' imaginations as they slowly descend into cabin fever and insanity, which I think, as a film, is perfect.
Yeah.
But the book is a lot more explicit that the hotel has a dark past, has a history, and is plagued with the ghosts of the tormented and the murdered and the political rich scum playboys and prostitutes and all this sort of thing. It's horrendous history in this hotel come to life, and the idea is that the hotel not only is full of ghosts, but the hotel itself is an entity that wants Jack Torrance as the dad to murder his son so they can sap his life essence from the son, because the son is basically powerful and has these sort of powers. The hotel basically wants to eat him.
Yeah.
And needs the dad to kill. So, in one hand, you've got the book, which is about the hotel itself as an entity slowly manipulating the lead character over time to murder his own family. And the film, which basically is excellent and is about the descendants into insanity over a long period of isolation and a long period of time. But yeah, the big difference is, in the book, the character of Jack is manipulated. He is at heart a good man who has made mistakes and had done bad things, but is manipulated by this bigger power, whereas the film is completely different in a sense of where Jack is a bad person and he is descending into insanity and he lets his animalistic urges take out on his family. I have waffled for so fucking long about this film, but that is my sort of vague waffling
That was not
summary.
vague. You cannot call that vague. That's obviously a bad thing.
The film is great. The film is excellent.
Yeah.
The performances are great. The directing is brilliant. The colour palette and the depth you can go. There is an entire documentary about this film, about the fan theories of this film, about what they think it means and what they think happens. And a lot of people would say that would be a documentary about the film and the behind the scenes of the film and what it was trying to infer. But what it actually is a terrible documentary in that sense, and a brilliant documentary as to the dedication and ridiculousness of some fans and how far they will cut into things that mean probably nothing.
Damn.
And
Actually,
fascinating.
I thought I kind of knew what The Shining was about. I've not seen the movie.
No.
I did not know what The Shining was about after what you just spoke
No,
about.
okay.
It just shows.
The film is excellent. And
Yeah.
But the book I thought was fascinating, and I thought the book was really, really good. And I thought the film is really, really good, and it's one of my. Christ, it's my favorite films on my list.
Yeah.
You know, what can I say? It's excellent, but it's interesting given the perspective of reading the book. And then you get to the whole thing about the sequel. That's another thing entirely. But there was a sequel made of this film in 2019 called Doctor Sleep. It's the book Doctor Sleep exists.
Yes.
So the book is a sequel to the Shining book, which does it very different to the Shining film. And the film is an adaptation of the Doctor Sleep book, but also a sequel to the Shining film, which is completely different from the Shining book. And you know what? It's fucking perfect. It does both of them very well. And I need to read Doctor Sleep as a book, but I believe from what I've seen, it's a very good adaptation and a very good sequel. Mike Flanagan, we love you. That is my list.
There's some two good lists.
Yeah, I think we've got some corkers out there.
Yeah, we've got some. It's quite nice that we have quite big diversity as well.
Yeah,
I think
I'm very much
you
like into my.
horror.
I do love a bit of horror. I do love a bit of horror. That's what I said though. When it comes to films, it's about emotional, physical, visceral reactions. Whether that's making you laugh or whether that's putting you on the edge of your seat. Yeah. I like films like The Shining and The Lighthouse because they make me physically uncomfortable and excited. You know, I love when a film can. You know, I'm watching something on a screen. It shouldn't be able to do that to me, but it does. Yeah. And I love that feeling because I'm like, oh my god, I'm reacting with this film. I'm engaging with it.
My thing with horror is like just the suspense. Like I don't like. Yeah. I personally don't like that suspenseful feeling.
I know you
like,
don't.
I
know
hate the fear of the unknown, and I would put myself in the like. If I was talking about watching Alien stuff, I'll put myself in that discomfort. But it's been a long time since I like genuinely.
There's films that I would look. I wouldn't.
The last time I watched horror.
I think but then you sort of have to venture into certain elements of horror, not jump scary horror, because I hate that. I could tell you honestly, like I will shit myself at like Insidious, right? But I don't think it's a good horror film. It's got a few jump scares and it's a bit silly, right? But it's the jump scares for me are cheap. With The Shining, from my recollection, I don't think there is any jump scares. I think it's suspense. It's a build of suspense and the unpredictability of it. You don't know what it is, and I think that's
it's like my worst nightmare. Like,
but you sort of know. I mean, I've kind of described the plot of the film for you.
Well,
there.
yeah.
But it's it's brilliant in that respect, and it's definitely worth checking out. And yeah, basically, go on, if you haven't seen any of the films that me and Cooper mentioned today, go and watch them because we have very, very good taste, and you should go and check them out because we said they're good. Anyway, we've been going for a long time, haven't we? So let's get on to our segment, our little segment here, which we call Just News. This is a one I've been very excited to read out. We have a lot of fun with this segment. We've had some real good corkers, and next week is going to be a very exciting little thing, which we're going to talk about just after. So stay a little bit longer to see our little exciting announcement about next week. But it is involved with this. Just News is... I'm so happy with this segment. We've had some really good stories. We've had some shit stories. We've had some bangers. Last week was excellent.
Bangers.
I don't know if I'll top the Radio Tower story, but...
we've had some corkers through the whole thing.
This is a one that I found whilst at work, funnily enough.
Oh.
So this is probably going back about a month because it's been in this document for quite a while. But let me just take you through this lovely little story. Are you, and I don't know if you are, I mean, personally I hate them, right? Are you a fan of bath bombs?
Not personally. I have very sensitive skin and they destroy my skin.
Do you ever have sort of a look round Lush? Other bath bomb shops are available.
I mean, like my girlfriend sometimes goes in. I mean, you can smell it from a mile away.
So that's the thing. I hate the smell in it. I can't stand the smell. They put me off.
Yeah, it's so strong. But it's like you can just you don't know. Lush is that thing where you can smell it from a mile away. Like if there's a Lush within like the square kilometre, you know it's there.
You know it's there. You can smell it out like Scooby Doo. With this, I believe Miss Nikki Kinge would also be with us on hating Lush bath bombs, but not always, as you see. This is her terrible experience with it, and I'm going to read you the headline. Let me see. Let's just see what this invokes. Gunge plunge. Woman left feeling like Shrek after £5 Lush bath bomb transforms her tub into a filthy swamp.
£5 price or £5 weight?
£5 price.
Okay, I was like,
That would
no
have
way
been
she put a
incredible. £5 bath bomb. It's just slime and fucking mud, you know. A casino worker claims she felt she was left, feeling like Shrek after a lush bath bomb transformed her tub into a swamp, covering her in thick black slime. Nikki Ginge was looking forward to a relaxing soak in the bath and flung in the £5.25 Secret Arts Pamper product into the hot water before settling in.
Oh my god.
The photo is absolutely ridiculous. You can... Oh, that's awful.
Oh my god.
Oh no. Again, for those listening, there is a link in the description of this podcast if you want to read the article. As always with Just News, you can go and check it out. But we're looking at a photo currently which I would describe as someone's sort of legs in the bath, absolutely covered in what looks like gunk. And at the end of the bath looks like... It looks like hair. It's that thick.
It looks like mud. It genuinely looks like mud.
Oh, that's vile. Okay.
That's
Within
horrible.
seconds of stepping into the bath, Nikki realised she had mistakenly picked up a jelly version of her usual bath bomb and watched in horror as she was covered in black gelatinous goo.
Bro, this is a horror movie waiting to happen.
It's Venom, isn't it?
It's Venom.
It's the
Yeah,
start of
Venom.
Venom.
With a bad boy gonna...
You're gonna know what hit him. Hilarious footage shows the 34-year-old coated in a thick and slimy substance that drips from her fingers and left her feeling even dirtier than when she got in. Now,
Oh no.
I have the mind of a child, man. I can't read that out.
No.
Horrified by the gunge, Nikki
I hate that word.
Nikki lasted
The
just 3
gunge.
minutes in the bath and was forced to splash the product off before hopping into her shower downstairs to get clean. Despite only lasting... Oh no, that photo is vile, bro.
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ, you really have to see this. Sorry to the people just listening, this is
Oh
appalling.
my
Despite
god.
only lasting 180 seconds in the bath, Nikki has subsequently praised the product she bought at the Southampton branch for leaving her skin super soft.
My god. This is horrible. This
Nikki
is
compared the
rank.
experience to being in a fun house where people would have slime poured over them. I don't know what fucking fun houses you're going to, Nikki, but sounds fucking filthy. Nikki from Southampton, Hampshire, said, "I did feel a bit like Shrek. It was funny." Beautiful insights there from the from Nikki. The only way I could describe it to friends is when you used to watch Funhouse and they'll pour slime over people. I felt like I was in Gunge. I was
like,
planning to
what's-
stay in the bath quite a bit. I usually just sit there, lay back and relax for about half an hour and just switch off.
What was that old English like challenge TV show? Not Ninja Warrior.
Takeshi's Castle.
No, it was an English one. It was like Takeshi's Castle.
That's a fucking Brexit one. That these fucking
No.
Takeshis.
I can't remember what it was called, but that's what it reminds me of. Like they used to like spray like
love Takeshi's
slime and stuff
Castle.
at people.
Nickelodeon Teens Choice Awards.
I don't know. I'm gonna
don't
try and find this.
Oh, I thought we were
that's
going to get a
horrible,
Takeshi's Castle reference in there. What a shame. It felt
I mean, it does
extremely
give
slimy,
Takeshi's.
and it was really thick. And because it was so black, it just made me feel like I was getting dirty and freaked me out. God. Despite the odd experience, she admits that her skin was left feeling super soft. Nikki has opted for the Secret Arts Jelly Bomb, not realising she'd opted for the jelly variety. Christ. We're getting this is news for you these days. It's just the same thing on repeat. At that point, I did think I can't stay in here, and I had to get out. It was difficult to get out because the gun was sticking to me, so I had to splash the water on myself to try and wash it off. My shower is downstairs, so I couldn't just start running a shower straight away. I needed to try and get it off, so it was a bit of a challenge. Lush beauty fanatic Nikki. She's a fanatic. She should have fucking known better than to pick a fucking jelly bomb.
That's
Especially then to go to the fucking paper about it. Who has used products for years, visited the store last month to pick up a pampering treat and was excited to use it on the evening of March 24th. Nikki said, "I use Lush all the time. This is the first one I tried a jelly bomb." How many fucking times are you going to tell the same bit of the bloody story, Nikki? Come on. What's wrong with her? I quite often pop in there and pick up a couple of things to look at products I haven't tried before. Okay, this is... Yeah. Despite the gloopy experience, Nikki has said she has not been put off using Lush again in the future and regularly shops there.
This article's so long.
This article is ridiculously long.
That's rank. That's horrible. I would not use Lush. That is rank. A jelly-like bath? No.
Yeah, it was funny, but I think knowing that she's just done this and then gone to the papers, it's like, Christ.
I don't think she's got the papers. I think she's put it on Facebook and the papers will come to her.
Do you reckon?
100%. 100%. 100%.
I don't know. I feel like she's enjoying it a little bit too much there. Oh, well, that's just needs for you. Yeah. Covered in fucking slime. What do you think about that, Cooper? Would you like to be in a big bath of slime?
You'd have to pay me to use that kind of Lush bath bomb. There's not a chance.
What if they actually released a Shrek bath bomb? Do you reckon that would go down well? But it was intentionally like this.
Do you know what? It would. It genuinely would, without a doubt. It was in the shape of Shrek's face.
Lush. Oh, they actually have.
There you go.
They have a Shrek swamp bath bomb.
Oh, she probably picked up that then.
No, I don't. I think it's a different one, but it actually looks all right.
Goes bright green.
Don't be a farquad. Unleash your very own swamp with the Lush X Shrek bath bombs. Oh, rich scent of chocolatey cocoa mixed with refreshing peppermint and sweet vanilla. It might be swampy, but the blend of...
What? The blend of what? It's £8.
I'm trying to make a bit out of that, isn't it? I was trying to think if I could... It's got like Russell mud. I was thinking, can I turn that to Rowell? No.
There's a gingy one as well.
Oh, God. Well...
Oh, God.
Shrek Swamp. I think...
Fiona one as well. £10?
£10 is shocking for a bath bomb, mind. I must say. There's like donkey ones. There's fucking loads of them. But do you think this would be your cup of tea?
No.
Nice relaxing bath after a hard day's work. Cover yourself in just mud.
Baths just don't like. I find baths too boring. I can't lie.
I quite like a bath. Every now and then, every few months. I do shower, by the way. Just FYI.
I was literally about to say I couldn't tell you the last time I had a bath. It's like
I shower every day, but I do like a bath. It's relaxing. If you can put music on or something.
Yeah.
Bit of Murray Gold. No.
Nah,
yeah,
not for me.
That's good. No.
Not for me.
No.
I
feel like I wonder if you'd get the same sensation if you just sort of shat yourself in the bath.
It's probably similar health benefits, to be honest.
Yeah, smooth skin.
Yeah.
Horrible fucking smell.
Empty bowels.
Okay, well that's all I want to sort of add and contribute to that. I think we've had a long enough episode. We don't need to be talking about bowel movements anymore than we need to. Thank you so much for watching. What's our announcement next week? Oh, that's a good question. Well, we have done, this is our 15th full-length episode now.
Wild.
Which is very exciting. And we thought what we'd do is, because we've got these lovely little fun segments at the end, the Just News segments, we would give you a special treat next week. Instead of a normal regular episode, we're going to be giving you Volume 1 of Just News. All of our news story highlights compacted into one... Favorites. Into one potentially video podcast. I haven't edited it yet, but we will see. But that'll be a lot of fun. Basically takes all of our best Just News segments from the last 15 episodes and compiles them into one episode for you all. It'll be a lot of fun. If you haven't already listened to some of the other podcast episodes we've done, we've got a lot of great ones out there. A lot of ones that I'm personally fans of.
The Just News segments that we've had, some of them have been absolutely phenomenal. I'm excited.
I think last week's was probably my favourite. Do you have a favourite? I mean, we could probably talk about that at some point, but I feel like, given that we're not going to really record much,
I'm excited to relive Ken Allen, I have to admit.
Oh, I'm excited Ken Allen, that's a throwback.
Ken Allen.
Bro,
but yeah, we've had some absolute corkers. Last week's was, the ending of last week's episode was just carnage.
That was unbelievable.
So funny.
I loved that one.
So good.
The Radio Tower one was the best one,
yeah.
Easily. Right. But that's next week, ladies and gents. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast episode today. We've really enjoyed talking about our favourite films. If there's something you haven't watched here and you're intrigued by, definitely do some research. Talk to us about it on social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We have all of those. If you're not already following the podcast on Spotify or on your other podcast providers, Apple, Amazon, Google, or YouTube, maybe. Do subscribe, do follow, give us a nice hearty 5-star review if you haven't already and you really did enjoy it. If you want to hear me talk about the intricacies of an animatronic plant for half an hour, you better be giving that 5 stars, because that's what I've delivered today, if that's your niche cup of tea. But yeah, that's pretty much it from us today. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you all next week with Volume 1 of Just News or Highlights. See you later.
Bye-bye.